It's not dangerous.
Word.
It's welcoming, and I think reclaiming that word is really important.
Yeah.
Although I feel like that might be a white people thing to say to reclaim some shit.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's a hood, but it's like home.
Okay. Well, no. The hood can be home to us.
Yeah, it
My
is.
home is the hood.
My home
for
is
sure.
the hood,
Yeah,
and my
yeah,
home
yeah.
is the Shirley Ave neighborhood.
Word.
It's my
Word.
hood.
Yeah.
Shout out to Shirley Ave and Revere.
Yes,
It goes down.
Shirley
if you've been to
Ave.
jail,
Love
you
Ave.
definitely know of the community. If
The
you're
best
from the bean.
croissants in the world lives in Shirley Ave neighborhood.
Word.
So just saying.
Word.
And Kamai egg rolls.
And lots
All
of
right.
many other things.
All right. Tell us, D, what's something you're working on?
So, like Vonnie
Other than
mentioned,
the big thing, which is going to be a whole segment.
okay. Well, I won't talk about that big thing, but as Vonnie mentioned, so we do a lot of youth organizing, and I started a youth group back in 2012 when I moved back to the city called Revere Youth in Action, and we were dormant for a little bit while I was in grad
Which I
school.
love that organization, Revere Youth in Action.
Yes, Ria.
Like, yo, I got to moderate
Ria.
this forum on behalf of Mi Gente. Shout out to Mi Gente, and
Yes,
they were doing this
shout out
forum.
Mi Gente.
Y'all were there, and they were doing this forum on the DA organizing, and y'all brought this young cat from the hood.
He's our brother.
Yo,
Our brother.
oh man, but like it reminded me of me when I started to make the transition from the gangs and from the streets to the politics. Like I was there. He was all young and healthy and handsome and like speaking out for his rights. I was like, yeah, son, yeah, yo, let him know.
And he says hi. I was just actually with Michael right before we got here. So.
Word. What up, Michael? Shout out to Michael, man. Revere Youth in Action. My bad. Go ahead.
Revere Youth in Action is still happening. We were dormant for a little bit while I was in grad school, but last year we kicked off again and got involved with what was happening in politics in the state. So we got involved with the DA race and also just all the different races, just doing education though. We are not asking people who to vote for, but what is so important in our community is that we're educating our community on who's running, what they're running for, and getting people out and turn out.
Let's give them a little context. So when Revere Youth in Action started, I definitely remember this is the time I reconnected with you, and there was a survey that you were helping for high school students from Revere High commence. It was a survey around, I guess, space for youth, and
Because Revere doesn't have a youth center.
because we don't have a youth center.
Revere doesn't have a
still
youth
don't have a
center.
youth center.
Still don't have one.
What
Or
about the
community
city
center.
of Revere don't have a youth center?
We don't have
We
a
don't have a
community
youth center. We don't have a community center, and we're hoping that we're gonna get one soon.
Yo, that's bugged.
Yeah,
It is.
Yeah. So a little context is that our students don't have a youth center. We grew up in Revere. We both all felt that we didn't have a place to belong, so we left. We went to college. So here we are reconnecting, and I remember just meeting up with Dimple because I'm baby organizing at this time, and I started bringing my nieces around just to see what was going on. They were doing the data entry for the survey at that time. I think you collected like 11 or 1,600 surveys, and we found out this is the
survey,
issue.
I love those.
Those kids wanted a youth center. This is where they wanted, and I think Revere Youth in Action was really critical in getting the city to to acknowledge that youth need a space, and how do we organize around that. So Revere
But it
started
wasn't
from that.
easy. I do want to say that it wasn't easy building our power, though, because when we did start and we started doing the voter outreach project, I was constantly told by elected officials saying, shut that shit down.
Yes.
The people who are in power are going to stay in power. And, that just was like, no, that's what we're going to keep doing, because that's what's constantly, why we're in the situation we're in right now. And we don't have representation, and we don't have a community center. We don't have a youth center. We don't have a lot of things.
And then when we try to tap into resources to support our youth, we also continue to get in trouble. So this path hasn't been easy, but it's been rewarding, because here we are a couple of years down the road with many iterations of the youth that come through. We still are connecting, or have connected with the OG RIA. We've seen a number of kids come through our program, and let me tell you that this is not what I signed up for. I never thought I'd be back in Revere, but I never thought I'd be youth organizing. And it's a painful but rewarding process, because now a lot of them are in their late teens, 20s, and it's a whole nother level a conversation. Just last night, I was just talking to one of our original members about anti-blackness and transphobia, and I'm like, oh, we really talking about this.
Word.
These youth are having a different conversation than when we were young, in a larger space.
And
You know what? Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I just do want to quickly mention that first generation of RIA youth that came through also, for me, was a moment that, all these people who I grew up with, a lot of them who've been deported, detained, or moved out of the city, the families that remained, their children were in our first generation of RIA, and that was pretty powerful, and they're, having... some things going on in the family, and they're talking about like, oh, my parents want to have this like sweet 16 party for me. They're gonna have a big graduation party for me. We don't want it, and it's just like, yo, they didn't have that. So you know what? Accept it. Let them have those celebrations because we're happy that you're all still here.
I'm interested in this conversation of anti-blackness.
Yeah.
That sounds dope.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So, would you ever? Because one thing that I'm always fascinated by is how you could be average in one place, and this is the immigrant story, the immigrant experience, is that you could be average in one place. Everyone sort of look like you. Latinos have it, Asians have it, where you're in one country and you could be sort of the average there, even look like the people in power there, and then come here and be black here. Do you think that that's the case? Have you ever?
Wait, I don't know what you just asked me because I got excited about this conversation.
So she got excited. Oh, I be finding a dope activist, yo. The dope activist.
Let me tell you, it's
She's
really
excited about the conversation on anti-blackness in the
Listen,
community. That's dope.
no, it's really refreshing to just have this conversation with my youth because it's not a conversation that I comfortably have as an adult with my peers. I can have that conversation with different types of peers, but it's not something I go around and talk about. And it really stems from the conversation of an article I read, and she was talking about how like her friend used the N-word, and she checked that friend, and she said, well, how do you navigate after you check your friend that they still didn't listen?
Yeah.
So I was telling her, I just read an article about this same conversation. So I think it's really interesting. And then we reflected on how for us, our work isn't important till we recognize that Black lives do matter. And so as much as we organize, this is like really deep rooted from our mentors like Sarat and Dimple, who are talking about this early on in RIA, that we need to really fight for Black lives before we can really start doing deep rooted community organizing, youth organizing. And then I know we're going to talk about Cambodian history down the road, and that's a painful path too, but it's all connected, and I think it's an honor to have that conversation with this young lady.
Definitely all connected. So what I meant was like, so with Puerto Ricans, I'll use us, right? You could be a light-skinned, sort of like me, lighter in Puerto Rico, and you are essentially the white people of Puerto Rico, because it's not like everybody's Puerto Rican, but then you have Black Puerto Ricans, right, that live in Loíza, that live in a certain section of Puerto Rico that have very different lives.
Right.
Then you have Dominican immigrants who come right across, and they live very different lives. And but then you come here as a Puerto Rican, even a light-skinned one, and all of a sudden you ain't white. Right. All of a sudden here you black, and you're treated like ish, and you live in the ghetto, and your parents are called slurs, and you experience all that American urban culture has. The hardness and the cool stuff.
Right.
So do you feel that in the Khmer community, if that's the right word?
Definitely. I think so. I think you could talk more about it. I definitely know that for even my culture, back in the homeland, being dark skinned is like a no-no, and coming here it is amplified of being dark skinned is a no-no, and so it's very hard to have this conversation embracing Black love when everything rooted from even home country is anti-Black.
Right. Word. Absolutely. It's the same thing with all Latin American countries. In every single country, you got Black people and you got white people.
Yep.
But then those very people can come, like Dominicans. You think about what happened. They're the most Afro-Latinos of all, right?
Yeah,
like even the white Dominicans on the island are like your color. Like that's their light skin, right? They don't even come barely like me. And they're the most Afro-Latino, right? And yet the Haitians on the island catch hell.
Yep.
They are the Black people of that island.
Right.
And a couple years ago, I don't know if y'all saw, you probably saw because I'm already feeling your vibes, when the Supreme Court said that Haitian immigrants born there, raised there, that are Dominican, speak Spanish and all that, weren't citizens. And they started mass mobs to deport people.
Yep.
And when you saw the videos of these mobs, they were dark brown. They were dark brown, howling racial slurs and evicting people from neighborhoods. But they were brown Dominicans who, if they moved here, you'd live in the Bronx, you'd live in Boston, and you would catch hell for being Dominican.
Of course. That's, white supremacy, colonialism.
Word.
That's like in India too. It's like the darker you are, the lower you're on the caste system. You're the untouchables. And there's all these, skin whitening creams. It's just like, people who were stars, they're all light skinned. It's the same thing that's happening here is happening around the world. And it's continuing to perpetuate white supremacy.
Word. So I always liked, what I always liked about, born in 85, started going to jail in like 97. 12 years old, we live in the projects, right? So already going to jail in 97. And so the first time might have been 97, 98 that we're in DYS. And we see these like black Asians walking in. And we're like, yo, these dudes like just look, this just looks so interesting. Like it was such a thing of like, yo, where are y'all from? Like, what's up with it? And they were always from Revere, oftentimes from Shirley Ave. And they were wild. They always said the N-word, by the way. And I guess we gave it a pass. And I guess I say we as a not black person of color.
Yeah, because you can't give it a pass.
Exactly. No, exactly. Yeah. No, I mean we in the hood.
Yeah.
But even the African Americans on the unit gave them a pass because, like, first of all, they were brown.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, the first thing, they were brown.
And in DYS.
They were brown in DYS.
Yep.
Like, they get beat up on Shirley Ave the way we get beat up on Blue Hill Ave. They live in communities similar to our hoods. They live in ghettos like our ghettos. The police treat them the way the police treat us. Everything was so similar in our lives that it wasn't like white kids that are born in a ghetto, or it wasn't like Asians or Latinos that weren't from urban America. I guess because they were from urban America, they got a pass. Because Latinos also got a pass, and we dropped the N-word on the reg.
Yeah.
I wouldn't accept that from like an Argentinian. Like there's a bunch of Latino groups I wouldn't accept it from.
Yeah.
And the ones that we always did was always mainly Puerto Rican, Dominican, from the hood.
Yeah,
You just
You're
have
from the
that-
hood.
Yeah, you're from the hood. You have that like urban America
Yeah.
will do that to you.
Yeah, and that's what happened with the Cambodian community. The largest refugee resettlement in U.S. history was the Southeast Asians coming to the United States from the Vietnam War, from the Khmer Rouge genocide, and their communities were placed in the hood all around the country.
In Long Beach and Lowell.
Word.
Revere,
Portland.
Revere was kind of like a subsidiary or a side because it was,
But the economy was downtrodden after the blizzard of '79. The economy in Revere was shit, and so the city was also looking to find ways to bring people in, and the refugee resettlement was also paying cities, to be a host site. So that was a way that the city was also making money. In other cities around the country, even Texas, like all these places where people were in the hood, like that's where our roots started, and people didn't want us there. And they told us every single day, we don't want you here. There was so
they're
much
still
violence.
telling us sometimes.
I'm sure. That's why when you said welcome, I was like, are y'all welcome?
I want to really reframe it that this is us,
Yeah.
and we say that the city of Revere is welcoming, and we're gonna make it welcoming.
Word.
But yeah, sometimes it doesn't feel welcoming, but that's not
Our
us.
history
That's
is
us.
not, was not welcoming,
Yeah.
and we're trying to change the game on that.
Word.
And that's
Word.
why what we do, and I talk about this because I'm in grad school right now, and my application was talking about MLK's talk around the beloved community, and I'm like, I'm doing this shit for my community. All this hard work, this sacrifice, this organizing is around love for your community, and the shit is painful. The shit is painful. It's exhausting, but at the end of the day, it's worth it because I get to have conversations like the one I had with my young mentee last night, and I'm sitting here with my best friend. Because I'll tell you that once we left for college, none of us thought we were going to come back.
Never.
And here we are in our own circumstances, and we're here, and we're doing our thing. I just happen to have been privileged enough to have gone to college and come back and said, oh, I'm going to give back to my community.
Some of us out here making it. Yeah.
I was really impressed with all your guests from like the week before and then 2 weeks back too. I think you had a young lawyer, one from Team Empowerment
Yeah,
show.
we wildin' out here. We doing good things out
Amazing
here.
things.
Yeah.
Please come to Revere. We need your love.
Well, I love seeing y'all. When you came to the thing in Chelsea, I love seeing the connection because there's a lot of Latinos in Revere. I don't know that the community is necessarily tied. y'all would know better. Are they or no?
What do you mean
Would you say
tied?
the Cambodian and the Latino community are tied?
The Cambodian community, first of all, is really small in Revere. And that is, we can talk about that for a long time, but
Yeah, I
it
was
is,
looking at numbers and it was like 7 to 10%, which is super small.
Yeah, we were about over 10,000 in Cambodian community. Now it's like less than 700 people. And so the majority...
Less than 700 now?
Yeah.
Where did they all go?
I want to say, not here.
Not here. You know, they moved to other cities, or a lot of families were broken through deportation, getting locked up. I mean, people died on the streets as well.
Damn,
So,
son.
you know, it's like they're deporting us on masses too, and so it's like continuing to break our communities apart.
And then on top of that, also families started to ship out their young sons who were causing trouble. So I mean, it is really the Cambodian family has been broken up in so many ways over the last 2 decades. It's the ones who are here have housing stability, because at the end of the day, that's why I'm here. It's housing stability. It's having parents who were not smart enough, had worked really hard to invest in a
Early
triple
on,
decker.
when it was probably like $10,000.
And so, that's why we're here. That's why a number of the Cambodian families that are in the Shirley Ave community and in the city of Revere, they are either they grew up here, had been able to buy a home in Shirley Ave, or there's a whole new wave of Cambodians that are coming through that have already came from money back home and are able to put a down payment on a home. So that's a whole different type of Cambodian.
The immigrant community, I think all immigrant communities are always split a little that way.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it leans heavier, like the Cubans in Miami,
Yeah.
which is even more disproportionately wealthy and like business people. But every community of immigrants that comes from anywhere, it's like there's a slither of people who were able to come, ain't fleeing nothing.
Yeah.
You wasn't broke down, dying wherever you were. You were sort of like, upper middle class,
Right.
and then you get to come here and be middle class.
And that's
Yeah,
been true for my family. You know, I come from a family that's, stable, and, that is also why I've been able to do what I've been able to do. I went to college, and, that wasn't a reality when I was a freshman in high school, but, as I, got more involved in the community, and
We had younger teachers come through the school system. At that point in time, there was like this wave of old teachers retiring, so we had like a lot of younger teachers, and some of them have stayed on and now are in bigger positions, like our superintendent. She was our math teacher growing up, and so now we get to have adult meetings with her. But so it's a little bit different. But I would say for the Cambodians, my dad and I were talking about it. There's 3 waves. There was the ones that came in '75. They had the ability to come through, and then right after in '80, '81, it was a whole wave. That's really the traumatic crew, and then past 90s 2000, that's the ones who either came with some money or had some money, some connection, got brought over, 90-day visa kind of deal.
The kids I was always locked up with were never born here.
No.
They were always here under 5 years.
The refugees.
So they had that. They were always here under 5 years. And I was telling y'all before we started the show, we used to call them either the the black guys in DYS will call them the hackers, and the Latinos will say machateros, which is like the similar hack. And because y'all beefing with machetes, son. So
I just said it was access to guns or lack of. I'm just saying.
So one of my mans, and we labeled that for Revere, Chelsea, like the Salvadorian kids in Chelsea, and the Salvadorian kids in Eastie. It was like Eastie, Revere, Chelsea. That whole area region was considered the hack area because the gangs out there beefing with big old machetes. We didn't even know where to get a machete in the hood. In this side of Boston in the hood, it was all guns and you know what I'm saying. So these dudes would come in. I remember one time talking to my dog, and he's Salvadorian cat, he with MS, right? In Eastie, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yo, man, but you know what I'm saying? Man? I'm like, yo, man, what we talking to him? What you do to get in here? The boy had a couple hands in a stolen car, man. And we was like, yo, fam, what was y'all doing with hands in the back seat of your whip, yo? What's up? He was like, yeah, they would. We had chopped some dude up. And I'm like, what? So here I am. You have Puerto Rican, Dominican, and then African American kids who are there, gun crimes, drug dealers, looking at these Salvadorian and Cambodian kids and being like, y'all are bugging out. Y'all are too wild. Y'all are thugs. Y'all need to stop this. Y'all are killers. Y'all fighting with machetes.
There's a lot of intergenerational trauma that comes from that too. It's not just I could be wrong in that saying that, but I think of course because Cambodians are, everybody says, oh, a peaceful community, peaceful folks. When you come here, you traumatize. Your survival is of the fittest. Anything is a weapon.
Yeah.
Anything is a weapon. And on the reverse side, anything is food too. My mom talks about like eating tree bark, going through the jungle, like getting from like Cambodia to the refugee camp, like everything. Like for me, my mom is true hustler, true good. And so when I hear people talk about like these extreme acts of violence or extreme acts of anything, it's just like consider where those people were,
Of course.
and what they had to do.
Yeah.
Because like young Cambodian kids walking down the street, why there was a gang is because they were getting attacked.
Yeah.
Houses were getting burnt
No, them
down.
dudes used to have crazy like police brutality, and I remember like, but also beefing. They would also beef, and I never forget it. So one time I was talking to one of my homies, and he was telling me that like back home it was like shoot on sight with the police. So he was just like, we never giving up, right? Like we give up, right? Like you chasing us down, we're not making it. You see the cars cutting off your exits, you just stop. And one thing that I noticed that was always interesting to me was that they never stopped. Like it was this unbelievable fear. And like, oh, I know why. Because one dude jumped like some wildness and like broke his leg. And we were just like, fam, you need to give yourself up. Like, why you jump from that second story? And he was just like, because I thought they were going to shoot me dead. We were like, damn, like, where do you think you are? And that, I guess, goes to that, right? Because we're thinking in the hood.
Yeah.
And we're like, nah, you're not getting 30 shots from, even though you kind of are every once in a while, but not often. But you're not getting 30 shots. Like, I mean, if I'm climbing the fence, or if I'm on the second story and it looks like cops everywhere, I'm not jumping from the second story. I'm just going to get myself up. I'm going to take this little beat down, and then y'all take me to the station. And with them, it was always like, nah, them dudes was going to murder me, so I needed to, like, get away.
Yeah.
And we was like,
Resilience.
damn.
I think that the Cambodian people are resilient people. I think that it speaks from just like where we came from, how we arrived in this country, and you know, I can almost hear my parents saying like it's fight or flight, and so I'm not really surprised to hear that nickname, but it's a little sad too. At the end of the day, I mean, I'm not going to profess that I was in that life. I was really blessed. I'm the youngest in my family. My sister was really the trailblazer. She was definitely a Roca kid. And no shout out to Roca, just saying she was a Roca kid.
We don't talk about the nonprofit industrial complex.
No, we
gonna go
can,
there.
We can. I'm just saying.
We gonna go there.
I was not a Roca kid, but my sister was.
Okay.
But so I've been really fortunate and blessed to have such a wonderful parent group that just cared for us, but not everybody else was that lucky. And so I come from a position of privilege in that sense of I needed to give back. I'm really I would say disheartened to know that a lot of my young mentees and even non-mentees I see on the streets, like the first time I heard about intergenerational trauma was like at a workshop around the Cambodian history in my own neighborhood. I was blocked out of that nonsense for the longest time because I was living it. I wasn't talking about it. And here I am in a different setting as an adult listening to young women in college in like their late teens and their professor talking about that and how I had never heard of the word intergenerational trauma and like what that was like and how that played out in their family. They lost their dad. One of the sisters had a disability. Her brother went on and had mental health issues. And here is this young woman just talking about like what it's like growing up in Revere as a Cambodian refugee, as a Cambodian American going to school and accessing school. And this is why it's really important for me to help mentor that next wave, because I went to college, but I didn't want to go to college. I tried to join the army. I was 5 pounds overweight. So I always say my fat ass saved me. But you know what? When we were growing up, the Army, the Navy, the Marines were there, and they're still there recruiting heavily. And it was all on the whole premise of...
That's our path out the ghetto, yo.
Yeah.
That's our path out the ghetto. You
Yeah.
come home to your mama in a little uniform, making everybody happy. You're not running the streets dying like your friends.
But my mom was like, no. When the recruiter was at our house, she was like, you're not signing up. You're not signing up. So, I mean, maybe other families wanted their kids to go to college, but I know I have a friend whose son is in the Marines, and I'm like, I love your son, but it's really sad to hear that was an option or a pathway that for him. I think it's
It's a pathway for a lot of people, even like our friend now, but also like growing up too. Either, you went that way or you went, off to the
Where
military.
was the other path?
Yeah.
well, exactly
Like the non-military straight and narrow path? What's that path? If it's not the military, where's that path?
So if you
in the hood.
if you were not
Wasn't.
in the hood, if you were not a good quote unquote good student, if you did not excel, you either just straight worked or went to community college, which is really underrated, I think. And or you could go to college. So it was just
Shout out to the community colleges. That's how you know she got her little associate's degree from a community college. Put some respect on her degree. Don't say nothing because it's a community college degree.
No, I did not go to
I don't even got I got a
I'm
GED.
just
I don't even got a
saying.
high school diploma. So
I'm
shout
just
out to
saying.
you, my sister.
No, I'm just saying.
No, talk your ish. Work, strut your strut.
I know. I love the idea of community college being good community partners to neighborhoods like mine because we didn't have that option. I went to a private college actually, so.
Ooh, okay.
And I'm actually continuing in a private college for grad school, so I'm really proud
Don't
of
shout
that.
them out because you're gonna get kicked out.
No, I'm not.
Coming up on here. You know what I'm saying? With us.
No,
So anyways, the pathway is either you join the army, you go to college, or you work. We were told, at least the Khmer women in our community were told that we weren't even going to go to college. We were going to have like 6 babies, be married at like 18, and some of that was true.
Yeah, because that was my experience when I came back from college. Like, I ran into one of my good friends, like, from middle school, and she's like, oh my God, I haven't seen you in years. How many kids do you have? I have 3. And I'm like, damn.
We don't have any.
I just came out of college. I just graduated, and just put me in reality.
That's that hoodness right there.
Yeah.
That's that hoodness. I was joking with Monica. I keep joking with her, trolling
Hi,
her that
Monica.
she's
We're
part
fangirling her.
Latina. That's great. That because Latinas, every Latina who like hit 40 always got like a 25-year-old and a 2-year-old. Like that'd be like the 2 classic things we'd be having. These crazy gaps. So Mo has a 20-year-old
That's still
and a 4-week-old.
Yep.
And I'm like,
Still a lot
that
of our
is
friends.
so Latino.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of our friends in the Cambodian community. They have very young children, and the ones that came through RIA, teenagers now in college.
You had a kid at 16 and then you had a kid at 34. You know what I'm saying? And there's a gap, fam. Like,
But, also then too, it's like a lot of life lessons learned in that time. And, a lot of these young women, now older women, they also put themselves through school and working
and are homeowners.
And homeowners.
Yeah,
And so, my
hardworking
community
folks,
makes me so proud because that resiliency that Vani talked about is that's, our community. We are resilient. We can, come back. And there's so many of us that have.
I know one thing to bring up a little bit of trauma. I know one thing that gets to y'all, and I appreciate.
You should have like trigger warning, by the way.
Trigger warning.
I always put that on my Facebook post because
warning.
it's important to recognize that, like, as much as we love what we do for our community, this work is hard. And so when we talk about stuff, you have to kind of give it a premise because not everybody gets it. Not everybody arrives at the space in the same way that you do. And so, I can talk about anti-blackness, but like. That comes from I've never encountered that kind of deep like racism.
So definitely trigger warning. But like, yo, man, like the youth work is so important. Like that's what got me to completely change my life. Like that's what got me from the gang to like working in politics and doing all that stuff. And I know one thing is hard because I feel it all the time is seeing kids that you were with at one point in time 10, 15 years later catching adult bids, doing serious bids. You hear about dudes every single year. So-and-so got murdered. So-and-so got picked up on that raid. They trying to give him 20 on a drug distribution, right? They raided the Ave, right? And our Avs are slightly different from y'all Avs, but it's the Avs still. They raided the Ave. They swept through this neighborhood. So-and-so dad got locked up. So-and-so's gone, dead. So-and-so caught a body. Some kid 15 years old catch a body, and you're like, damn, like he's going forever. Catch a body means like murder somebody. And you're like, wow, like that's hard to do when you're doing youth work, especially if you're doing it the right way. If you're doing it with all the kids from the community center, those are the kids from the community center. But if you're doing it where it's most needed, on the block,
streets,
on the corner, like you're gonna have hard times. Is that something y'all experience or seen, or how do you deal with that? Like for any youth workers out there, there's so many.
I think that was more of my experience, when I came back from college, and even, it's less now, and I think that speaks a lot to what you just described, that is not happening on that scale, but what is that the deportations of those older folks who did those crimes back when they were younger, and they've bought homes, are working, have families, and now getting picked up and like having to leave and go to a country they've never known before, and leave their whole family, their whole community. And I think that is an additional to the trauma that the community is experiencing. I don't think that a lot of the older heads have, I think for the most part have changed their ways and changed because they've seen what's happened to everybody else. And, I think that speaks differently for the Cambodian community than other communities of color.
Yeah.
The immigrations are real because we just go to jail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But for everybody, including in Eastie and Chelsea, deportations were wild.
Yeah.
Dudes 16, 17 years old getting sent to El Salvador. We were like, damn, they can do that? Like, would they send us? Where would they send us? It was just such a culture shock.
Yeah.
To hear someone catching cases and then being off this.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell this story, and I'm like a little ashamed of it, of how I encountered this like Cambodian deportation, and this was like straight out of college. So I didn't know any better, and I was just like, yeah, deport them. They're wrong, and like now I do my work, and it's a whole different approach. And
we find out you was like them Cubans in Miami, like Tony's mom in Scarface. So she was like, you give us a bad name, hardworking Cubans. That was her 20 years ago.
Yo, I didn't know.
Good Cambodian people, y'all out here on the app wilding out.
I didn't know.
Making us look bad.
So earlier, before the show started, I was telling you, like, I didn't know what was going on because I was removed. I was just saying, growing up in the towers, I lived in the hood, and my mom and dad never let us out. Like, they never let us go play outside, but I was this Khmer girl, so like Khmer girls didn't go outside, but Khmer boys did. So it was just like you couldn't hold back your young men.
That patriarchy, man. Every community could say that. Dominican girls couldn't, Puerto Rican girls couldn't. Every community.
So, anyways, to that point of like, I was really fortunate that my parents were like that, but I was able to live the life that I am living now because they were able to shelter me from a lot of things. While they were sheltering me, a lot of other shit that was happening. And when I started really doing community work and organizing, the first people who really did help me were the OGs from when I was growing up, who, like, for me, when I was a little girl, they were these scary monsters in like red or in blue and
gray
or whatever.
I remember gray. I'm like red or blue. I remember gray.
I only remember red and blue growing up.
TRG kids was out there wilding, man. Tiny rascal gangsters. We were like, what? Like, it was kind of a cool name. We were like, all right.
Was that the late 90s era, by the way? Because I was not here.
2000s.
Yeah.
So like they started in the 80s.
They started in the 80s, in the
California.
90s. It was for me red and blue.
Okay.
So all this to say is that I started doing this work, and those are the OGs who came out and helped me build a community park, helped do like neighborhood organizing, and they really trusted us with their kids. I mean, that's deep trust. Like, I didn't know them from anything. We didn't have like an intimate relationship where I'm like best friends or whatever. It was just that, in fact, one of my mentors, I was at a house party. This is like when we reconnected. Remember, we were at a party, and he came up to me and he was like, "How's your sister? How are you doing?" I'm like, "Who are you?" And he much later down the road ended up helping me doing my community work. But the issue right now,
OGs be knowing you. They remember us.
They remember.
OGs remember us.
And I'm really thankful for that OG. But what we're dealing with youth organizing right now isn't the kids who are about to be deported or going through that. Maybe some of that is really seated with Dimple, but what we deal with is housing insecurity, food insecurity, job insecurity. Our kids are like, I've got a young man who is about to rent his own apartment, and like, he's young, and that was a big concern, is like, where is he sleeping from one place to the next? I'm just worried that like,
Can he afford the apartment?
And can he afford the apartment? Especially, we can talk about gentrification in a bit, but I'm really worried that the kids that we're organizing, what they're dealing with is things that are sort of beyond us, but we know it's coming, and it's been in our neighborhood, is with housing security and food insecurity, and particularly youth jobs, which is why what RIA does is always around voter registration, and raising awareness on youth jobs, and we've been really successful. A couple of our kids have gone out and spoken with our representative, Speaker DeLeo, and it's been really successful at securing funding for youth jobs, and so much so that he's actually like seeking out our kids and giving them opportunities.
You know, the unpopular thing that I will do is give a quick shout out. It's unpopular, but I will give a quick shout out to Speaker DeLeo because during the criminal justice piece, he told us he'd give us a fair shot at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he sort of gave us that, and we were skeptical. We were like, nah, we had to do our organizing. And he ended up doing it. Ended up giving us a fair shake. And we got something fire passed.
Yep.
Fire passed. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
But there was organizing that was going down.
Oh, yeah.
There was organizing that was going down
definitely.
for years.
Yeah.
We've been trying to do criminal justice reform, man. Too long. All right, so who did I have that I wanted to drag before we went on to the city council thing? Oh, can we drag gang databases and deportations?
Yes.
Yes.
Real quick, like, yo, mother F gang databases,
Please, yes.
mother F deportations and borders, fam. I don't care where you from, I don't care what you did. If it's murder, if you murdered 10 people and you here undocumented, you going to jail, bro. Like, go through that process. I don't believe in deportations for nothing. Just for nothing. I'm just like, yo, and the border piece, like, I just don't believe in that. I just feel like if you live in here,
No, I
you're
agree.
going to go through the process. Like, I would go through the process.
I
If I
agree.
do something, I'm getting bagged, I'm going to jail. If you do something, you're getting bagged, I'm going to jail. I'm not with people then having rights revoked on behalf of a crime.
Right, and that's, what changed in 1996 under the Clinton administration, Democratic president, under the same time when welfare reform was happening, Timothy McVeigh, bombed federal building in Oklahoma, blamed it on my brown peoples, and, then was like, oh, this is an opportunity to change immigration law. And those laws were changed in 1996 where they made things retroactive, so it didn't matter if, it happened back in 1970 and it's 2000, you're still going to get deported. They changed what, different crimes would mean, so misdemeanors and different things were now falling under aggravated felonies and crimes of moral turpitude. Judicial discretion was taken away, and then 9/11 happened, and then we had a Republican president, George Bush, who then had these democratic changes in immigration law from 1996 and changed it and established Homeland Security, established Immigration Customs Enforcement, Border Patrol, and where we are today, and criminalizing our people, breaking up our families, breaking up our communities, taking refugees back from war-torn countries and sending them back, and that's in Cambodia, but even what happened in El Salvador in Central America, that is similar to what happened back, in our countries. The U.S. invaded.
Deportation is definitely a death sentence. It's a death sentence. Actually, I was talking to my young mentee last night. I was like, the Cambodian community and with what's happening on the deportation right now, like, we're more kindred spirit with those in the Northern Triangle, with El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras. Our kids right now that are coming from that area are like facing what the Cambodians had faced in the 80s and are reacting to that, and it's we kindred spirit, and at the end of the day, deportation means a death sentence, and I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with people saying deport them, like.
Or
But
you
I do
did
wanna
X, Y,
say-
and Z, you should go back to
Right.
where you. I think that you did X, Y, and Z, you start the
And
process.
those were American crimes. That happened here. Those are crimes that you did while you were in America because of the American system that you grew up in. It wasn't something that happened when that you learned back home. This is what you learn here on the streets. That
Yeah,
you
like,
didn't-
are there people selling crack rock in Cambodia? Is that going down? Are there corners where people got crack
don't
rock
know.
and they slanging them out there? Is that going down?
That's different in Cambodia too, because the people, when the first group groups were getting deported. And to this day, it's still the Cambodians are saying, no, we don't want you here either. And so they struggle of like, where is home? They have to start a new life. And I went to Cambodia.
Learn a language, because some of the kids who grew up here don't speak the language, right?
Second
so like now
generation
you're going
American
in there,
stuff, yo.
you're sending them back home, and they don't read, they don't write, they don't speak. We
Or
literally
they came straight out of jail, have no like work skills or anything, and then just dropping them in a country they don't know.
It's funny. I mean, Puerto Rico, we have the privilege of being American citizens. If you were to, at 17 or at 19, send me to Puerto Rico, like, yo, figure that out.
Imagine.
That would be the end.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know what to do. That would be so bugged. I wouldn't even know what to do.
And that's why I went, to Cambodia in 2005 and helped set up a reintegration program, because the people I grew up with on the streets, not, getting deported, we hearing that they're going to get shot when they're coming off the planes. I was like, I want to see what's going on. And I went, and, the reintegration program serves a great purpose, meeting people when they're coming off their, the airplanes, helping them with documentation, getting them into housing, basic life needs. And because a lot of these folks don't even have families back in Cambodia. A lot of them died during the Khmer Rouge, and a lot of them are here. So, what do you do? And, that reintegration serves a big purpose. And, shout out to my friends and all my, friends in Cambodia and here, because, that makes a difference, because there are a third who are doing really well. There's a third that's, okay. And then a third that, went back to the streets and in jail or died, because they didn't know how to survive, in a new country.
That's us, yo. That's ill. Whew. Peace and love. Pro-humanity.
Drag that.
Mother F borders, Mother F immigration enforcement, Mother F databases. And y'all saw who I've been dragging. I call him Commissioner Rick Gross. Y'all saw that.
Was that in your last segment?
Database. Yeah, he's a police commissioner, Boston, first black police commissioner. Had to be. And then they get basically caught for the BPD consistently partnering with ICE, deporting kids, right? And it's obviously BPD, so it was more like, in terms of who it was hitting, it was definitely more for Salvadorian kids in Eastie.
Yep.
Colombian, Salvadorian, Honduran kids in Eastie who getting like deported on mass status. Yo.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they used to, when I was out there, they used to do walk-in raids, yo, where they walk up to people at Maverick and just be like, where you from? Obviously walking up to us.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just being like, where you from? Like, I lived out there for 2 years. Whenever ICE came around, yo, people would like disappear.
Yeah,
like the
became a ghost
bodegas be
town.
closed.
Yeah.
A third of the school be shut down. Like, basically shut down. Like, third of classes. It was crazy, yo. But yeah, that's wild. So they got caught for doing that, and the ACLU is suing and requesting documents. And then he went on a whole Trump-like Twitter finger rant against the ACLU, calling them typewriter warriors, dating himself, because, like, what's a typewriter? You know what I'm saying? My 14-year-old wouldn't even know what that was.
Right.
He'd be like, I'm a typewriter. I type when I be on my phone. So, like, he dated himself, but he was going, and he was using all these, it was just so hurtful to see a black man using all these arguments that are used against us, being like, those kids are dangerous. You don't know what they're coming from. Them Salvadorian kids, MS-13, and he was even separating them from black and Puerto Rican people, being like, this ain't y'all.
Right.
This ain't the kids from the projects. They're different. And they were, right? The kids were coming for some real trauma. Like, we were coming from, like, shootings here and there, bang, bang, pow, pow, right? Like, here and there, 500 shootings a year in Boston. I mean, only a couple happen per neighborhood, and them kids from Eastie was coming from Civil War.
Yeah.
And I'm sure from Cambodia, fleeing like some real ish back home, and they come and they ready to go. They were more ferocious than we were. Like, we were like, whoa, you know. That was just real. But he defended it, and has been defending it to this day. And talking about, I got to keep it, in order to keep you safe, I got to have a gang database.
And I think that's, the big divide in the immigrant rights community and the movement is this whole, like, you're undocumented and then you're the criminals, right? I'm going to put you all against each other and fight each other, and then, doing the same thing, right? That, that's happening with low-income white people, right? And happening with low-income black and brown people. It's like, no, we're fighting for this, the same thing, but it's all coming from up here, and they're making us fight with each other. And that was like a big reason why I burnt out from what I was doing with the anti-deportation immigrant rights movement, is because we're constantly like fighting the government and ICE and all these things, but then at the same time we were fighting with other, immigrant rights groups. Like, we are, also human. Like,
that immigrant rights activist beef is wild,
it's
though.
crazy.
The groups, the tables that do the immigrant organizing and immigrant rights stuff, it is the most dysfunctional, scattered, and openly hostile spaces I have ever worked in.
Right.
And they're wild, yo. Activist beef, hardcore, activist gangbanging.
It's exactly what it is, right?
Oh.
Like, I'm better than you, so I'm gonna try to get this, and I'm not gonna help you. You stay there, and keep putting you under the bus, and that's where we're at as a country, we have this crazy person running things at the White House, and
you see, he was just saying protections for dreamers for the wall.
Yes, and now he's
I
gonna
hope
start.
that doesn't split people.
That is gonna split people.
Because there's a couple 100,000 people who I would understand.
Yes,
there's a couple 100,000 people who are probably like, yo, that'll save my daughter. Make the deal.
Yep.
F that wall. We gonna climb that anyway. Right. We gonna go under that anyway. That ain't stopping nothing on the border. No wall. But but I hope that doesn't split people.
That is gonna split people because it's putting dreamers and it's also putting people who are affected by TPS, right? So that's real issues where you're living day to day, not knowing what's gonna happen to you, and so go and give into the wall, and we'll see what the Democratic Party does, and sell our souls again, but we'll
not. They better not. They've been saying so far no. All right, so moving on a little bit. This Encore Casino, man. Every week I come here, I pass it. It is more and more developed. It's looking pretty. It looks beautiful. Bright lights, they'll get you. But are working people going to be able to live anywhere in this region?
No.
What are y'all going to do to stay in Revere? What are we going to do? What are people of Malden, Eastie, Chelsea, Revere, even Winthrop, under Everett, definitely under some serious attack? What?
But what's happening also with the casinos, not just here nationally, is that they're dying economies. So those neighborhoods and towns like Atlantic City, for example, run down. The casinos made the community run down, and then the casinos are leaving, the community still run down, right? So we're already in a situation, the region, that we're trying to pick ourselves up and come up, especially here in Chelsea, in Revere, in Everett, and what does that mean? Is it that, people are going to come buy us out, or are they going to let us suffer and continue to, get worse in what's happening around us? We don't know what's going to happen. I know that...
I think some people, if you own, you're probably going to get a sweet deal offered to you.
Of course,
if you can hold out, please hold out. If you're Salvadorian, Cambodian, hold out as long as you can, because the deal will get sweeter. But
that's what's happened to. That's what happened to all the homes right here on the street right here.
Yeah.
They bought them all up.
Rap City.
Yeah. That's it.
And Eastie's right there. All these communities, man. Charlestown, which was starting to get gentrified 10 years ago. That's about to be a wrap. All these areas across from here.
I think one thing that's challenging in Revere and might be more strong in other communities are there's these strong nonprofits. And I know we're going to talk about nonprofit industrial complex, but I think it's a really important thing to shout out, City Life, Vida Urbana, really helping.
Shout out to City Life, Vida Urbana.
Yes, City Life.
Homies, man.
Really dealing with the whole foreclosure, gentrification. A lot of that work is really important, and that's not happening in Revere. And when you ask what y'all gonna do, this shit is a lot of work. It's not two people making a change. But we really need, if anybody's watching this from Revere tonight, it's we really need you to step up and enter the conversation and come to the table. Whether you are invited or not, you need to come, you need to show up and arrive and be in the space, because what's happening is there's this void. There is not a strong nonprofit network that's supporting housing concern, job security, all that, youth organizing, and even just getting funding for that stuff. So I think that's really important, is there's a difference between what's happening in Revere and all these surrounding cities, is because there is a strong network of nonprofits and strong community partnership that is missing in Revere. Do you think that's
that's true. We hardly have any nonprofits. There's one nonprofit that serves immigrant refugee women.
We need Dimple and Vonnie's Center for Greatness. That's what we need. I'm calling for it right now. We need Dimple and Vonnie's Center for Greatness Revere.
No,
That's what we need.
And it starts with the community center. It starts with the youth center. I mean, what's happening is why organizing is hard is because there's no fucking space.
Yeah.
We don't have a fucking space to hang out.
Whoa.
We go to Dunkin' Donuts. Sorry.
Oh, really?
OG's at Dunkin' Donuts hanging out, talking at the park. Like
I love this guy, Brian, man. Shout out to Brian.
Thanks, Brian. Organizing happens organically and happens in different spaces, but it's hard when you've got people who are gatekeepers to your community, gatekeepers to the accessing the table. So when I say to Revere folks watching tonight is come out, show up, and show up in full force because this is your livelihood. In grad school, we have this whole conversation around affordable housing and talking about it as an intellectual discussion. And I think for me, it's not an intellectual discussion. It is livelihood. My youth, myself, we about to be displaced.
Word.
And there's not enough time and energy and not enough love, at least in my body, to change that because that's not within my power. But it's in our representation and it's in our elected leaders. It's in our community. Like the community has so much power, but when you live in a community that is transient, has been told time and time again that they don't have power, people believe it. And that's not true. We have power, and power is sitting here tonight, but power is in you watching us tonight because you're about to make some changes.
That's right.
Woo. So we need the nonprofit out there, but we needed to do them right.
Yeah.
We are doing right. Nonprofit industrial complex is crazy.
Yeah, and
full of white
burning
saviors.
people out.
Yeah, that
Full of
shit
white
drives me
saviors.
crazy. And at the same time, like, shout out to a nonprofit because I got my in community organizing
did too.
because of that.
I did too.
All of us.
But we talk about
But then
that.
you go there like, thank you people for doing this amazing work, and then you're treated like ish at that place.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait a
yes.
minute.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
This
Yeah,
ain't supposed
yeah.
to be like this, is it?
Yeah.
Nope.
I'm not going to touch that right now, though.
I'm just saying.
I'm not either because I
Moving
can
on
say
to
so much.
something that inspires me so much for 2019. Dimple Rana for City Council.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
That's,
Thank you.
That's fire,
I'm
man. What's
excited.
up? What are we doing?
We're doing a lot of things. I ran in 2017 and, it was a last minute decision because, as a woman, you're told, you need to do this, this, and this before you can actually run. And, I was like, I'm going to finish grad school and all these different things. And then the city council had a motion that was presented by a city councilor who I'm not going to name, but I'm sure people will know who I'm talking about.
Is it a shady person?
Yes, very shady.
Shady
person.
racist person?
Oh, yes.
Why not
very.
do some dragging? Why not drag?
All right, George Rotundo, you're coming out. So Councilor
Drag
Rotundo came out with the baseless, groundless, grandstanding motion to say that the city council is going to go on record and send a letter to the state delegation that Revere will never be a sanctuary city. Okay, why do that? You need to send a letter. But then the conversations that happened amongst the city council to talk about that motion and what they were saying about immigrants, things like immigrants multiply like cockroaches. I'm like heated. I'm heated. I'm actually at home recovering from surgery, and I'm like, need to do something. Organize a rally. Got all the young people up. We spoke up, and then everybody's like, you need to not run for office. I'm like, I'm not ready. I'm still in grad school. I don't know what I'm
Those are the best candidates. Those are the ones we need. Not the ones I can't stand, especially because it's always like mediocre men. I can't stand the people that are thinking about it for 70 years. You thought about it from your granddaddy's time. You were always planning for it. Those are never the right people. They're always down to put politics over people.
Yeah.
They're always going to make political decisions. It's always the person that, like, when y'all are hood, you sitting on the beach, you got fried chicken passed around. You know what I'm saying?
You're
And
never
you
going to let me go on that one.
Hey, yo, fuck that, D. You could win. Yo, you could win. Yo, we about to run, yo. Well, yo, come on.
That's
we about
what
to
happened.
do this. And then you just do it.
That's exactly what happened. And we built up grassroots campaign and got the family, got all the friends, and my friends.
Shout out to your mama.
Shout out to my mom and all the young women who under 18 came every single weekend to knock on doors, and that was what kept me going.
I'm
you
coming.
know?
I'm coming. Y'all got me at least 2 Saturdays before
That's
we
right.
do this. I'm gonna come
Get
for
you.
like an afternoon shift.
Please.
Come knock on some doors in Revere. I hope some people come with me.
We
This is
need
the
y'all.
homie.
We
We
need
need her
y'all.
elected this year in Revere. I will help you whatever I can. I'm
Thank
really
you.
good at numbers crunching, election databases, stuff like that,
That's
campaign
great.
databases, van stuff. Always will be promoting you all year on this. I have a bunch of people I'm gonna be doing that with. Shout out to my homie Cinda. Do y'all know Cinda Dunn?
Oh,
from,
yeah.
Lynn?
Hi, Cinda.
She's running in Lynn, son.
I know.
So this is about to go
Can't
down. This is the
wait.
combined
Yay,
connection.
Cinda.
This is
Go.
y'all year.
It is.
And as a
This
Puerto
is.
Rican
This
ally, I want to
Let's
help.
do
Yo,
it.
I want to be
Let's
a
do it.
part of it, fam.
And
Yes.
really, thank you for really supporting our ratchet goddesses and all our goddesses who are doing their damn thing this year. It is.
Goddesses.
It's
Yes.
happening. And it's
That's
really
my
beautiful.
purpose. My
The
spiritual
present
purpose to
is
protect the
female,
goddess.
not just the future. The present is
Yes.
also female.
Yes. So that's my thing. And that's been our last 4 shows have all been 2 amazing women from different places.
Thank you,
and they've
yes.
been fire. They've been so fire. But I felt that I went on this journey. We'll actually talk about it afterwards because all my peoples that do it, they're all like they are into yoga.
I
Like
love yoga.
they're not Hindu, but all
I wanna
all the
talk
people
about
that they worship are.
Yes.
It's interesting. So these are like hood ass like Puerto Ricans and black people like from Boston,
Okay,
right?
I know what you're talking
And
about.
it's so interesting. And then so like, but they all have like Muktananda and Guru Mai and all these people that they sort of worship and all that stuff. And I feel like that's my purpose, man, to protect and empower the goddess. Protect and empower the goddess.
That's
And that's
right.
really
That's
important.
what I wanna do.
That is so important because I think this work Dimple talked about self-care a lot when we first started doing community organizing because it is a lot of work. There's time that we're away from our family. We have full-time jobs, but we also do this because we really love our community.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, when you're sick, you're sick. And you got to take care of yourself first.
Yeah.
And 2019 is gonna be lit. Make it simple. Vote for Dimple.
Oh, y'all know whenever some people of color get involved, we gotta be rhyming. We got bars.
This was her high
We
school
just stay with
campaign, by the way.
bars.
That was
This is
my
her
high
high school
school.
campaign.
Yes.
You ran for something in high school?
I ran for senior class and junior class president twice, and I lost both times by 1 vote. And I know that was a conspiracy, but
Word, it
I'm
was.
going to get elected.
It was that dude
in
Rotundo.
2019.
It was that dude Rotundo's family. Yo, that dude, that's shadiness, man. We gonna put some drag into that. Wait till these sisters leave here, yo. And I catch you two shows from now, and I'm gonna start looking in, and I'm gonna dig in. I'm gonna start looking at your OCPF reports. It's about to be
Oh,
popping.
that's gonna be
It's
fun.
about to be popping.
Yes.
No, it's about to be popping. Shout out to Ben Echeverria saying when are we gonna organize that People of Color March? We need that March for Black and Brown Lives.
Yes.
Shout out to my homie Peter
Yes.
Lynn Marcus, who says he loves y'all. Can we get 5 more starting now? Thank you. Because the last thing I want to do, first of all, plug, where can people find you, get involved with the campaign? We're going to be plugging it all year. I got like 10 to 15 amazing people running from all over the state that we're going to be plugging consistently. But what can people look for tonight? Where can they go? Facebook, whatever.
So right now you can go on Facebook, Dimple Rana for Revere, or you can go to my website, Rana for Revere, RANAFOR Revere.com. And there's a sign-up form. There's ways to get involved other than, just coming knocking on doors. And you'll find that on the website, also on my Facebook. Follow me because there's so many things I also am going to be doing up until really officially announcing in April. But, Revere has never had a person of color elected in office. And we are in dire need to have representation happen. We are 39% foreign born, and that's just from the 2015 ACS census survey. And 2020, I know we're going to flip, and it's going to become a majority minority city. And to not have anyone that looks like the rest of the city on city council, we need to change that.
So it's RanaForRevere.com?
Yes.
All right, and then people can donate there?
And
Yes.
They can donate there?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
You're not soliciting a donation by just
No.
saying that they can donate from there. So
Yeah.
they can,
Go check out the website and you can
Rana
learn more
for
about
Revere,
Revere.
Rana. I'm going to actually share that really quick.
Thank you.
Go on this website, Rana for Revere, and donate. I'm going to donate, and then I'm going to share that.
So there's a
Rana.
couple questions coming in from a Joseph Gilmore.
Yes.
I just want to quickly answer. So, recreational marijuana was banned in the city, and I do support cannabis establishments in Revere, and that's something that our city council. I come from a public health background too, and a huge advocate for public health, and that what I do on a day-to-day basis. But I also do believe that cannabis, marijuana, legalization was voted on, and I also do believe that there are other benefits of cannabis, and that also as a community that has been downtrodden economically, that we have opportunities for entrepreneurs to get involved, and we're just not doing that with cannabis, but also other items. Things that I'm also working on around the food economy. Revere doesn't have a food truck ordinance. You're about to see food trucks.
What's up? What?
Yes.
So, all right. So, thank you so much, yo, man. Brian's the homie. He pinged the comment, so it's on there. We'll continue to share it. Please make a donation. I'm gonna donate $50, and then I'm gonna share that and try to get some other people to donate.
Thank you.
So the last part, we got 5 minutes left. Last part is always some ratchetness. It's the love doctor.
Okay.
It's the love doctor. I have a new question, and then I think I need to get checked on air about last week's, which I'm open to. But the new question is there any amount of baby mamas or baby daddies that is too much? And this is coming from a question. So don't get on the dragon yet. Is there any amount of baby mamas or baby daddies that are too much for you to deal with this person in a relationship? What say y'all? What say y'all? You dating this dude, you love this dude, he got 5 baby mamas. He got a Puerto Rican baby mama. He got a black baby mama. He got a Khmer baby mama. He's out here.
Village.
King Dingaling, wilding out. He all over the Ave. He all in the beach.
So
What's too much?
7 years single. I'm gonna keep it that way. So that's not even a conversation I'm gonna even entertain.
Okay.
Because baby mamas, baby daddies, y'all can keep your children. I have plenty of young people in Revere that I deal with on a daily basis, and they keep me very, very busy and entertained and content of why I continue to stay single, and also don't have any children of my own. So, God bless who can, handle those types of relationships and those situations. And I do know people who can.
What do you say?
I'm not
Danny,
saying
tell us
nothing.
the truth. Yo,
I'm
y'all
not
a little
saying
whack right now. You
anything.
see, I got him ducking
I'm
his
not
fade.
saying
This is the first. But so, would you not deal with a dude that had 3 baby mamas?
I have no comment on that.
Oh my God! I done cut y'all. This is good. This is good.
So one of my young
This is
people.